I wish, I wish I said no, should know, wish I said no, I said no.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, 64 and 70, please. 64 and 70.
Let's do a cheeseburger.
Sun is shining in Denver right now. Again, 72 degrees today.
Anticipated The Dark Knight Rises, the final film of Christopher Nolan. Let's just say that.
Can I please go see the Batman movie?
What time is it? Who's playing Batman?
I don't know. Michael Jackson.
Hey, if it's Michael Jackson, I'm definitely going.
Yes.
She looks very comfortable right now. I don't know. What time does it start?
Alright, let's go to London in the amazing Olympic
Yeah,
win.
I suppose.
Thank you.
Sweet revenge for the Americans. They played before a record crowd of 80,000 fans.
not a nice joke.
It's very secret.
Listen, wrong place at the wrong time. Stay home if you don't mind. It's landmines in the sandbox. Even you faint exempt from mankind. Always better safe than sorry. Smart mouth make a soft seat. Intelligence is irrelevant to the gut. Please don't insult mine. Shorty wanna go to parties, wanna fit in with her colleagues. Mama let her out the house early, but mama had a heart for her this time. Told her back by 10 o'clock, please. Don't forget to take your house key. Kiss a baby on the cheek. Who knew the last time would be this time? It's landmines in the boombox. The hands of minors let the clip spray. Weaponry is like a cool toy at the house party. Watch the kids play. A shooter usually has a bit of pain. A bullet usually has a given name. But who's hit when there's little aim? I wish I would've said no. I wish I would've said no.
Help me. You're making fun of me.
I wish I would've said no. I wish I would've said no. I wish I would've said no, no, no. I wish I would've said no, don't leave. I wish I would've said no, wait, ma'am. I wish I would've said no, sorry. Yeah. Wrong place at the wrong hour. Stay put if you will, coward. It's landmines in the man's mind. When he straps a 9, then he feels power. Always better safe than lack. Can't walk around without the safety. Never know when it'll happen. He walk around without the safety. They think I'm speaking about a black man. Let's take it back to Colorado. The people wanted to see Batman. Some random one to play as God though. Family van, open the car door. July is when it hit the theaters. Arrive with your child riding shotgun and leave with a child that is bleeding. A 6-year-old missing a few teeth. Got lenient pants with a loose leash. Summer night, 72 degrees. What a lovely night for the movies. She begged the parents to see Bruce Wayne. Parents scrapped a little loose change. Wish they would've saved it for the 2 feet. I wish I would've said no. Said if I would've said no. I wish I would've said no. Maybe you would be home. I wish I would've said no. I wish I would've said no. No, no, no. I wish I would've said no. No, no. I wish I would've said no. Don't leave. I wish I would've said no. Wait, ma'am. I wish I would've said no. Your heart is bleeding, but that ain't a reason to not believe. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should breathe.
Okay, so what were the circumstances that caused you to miss this flight?
So my friend Bobby was going to be helping me get to the airport. I had a rental car, and I was having trouble driving and all that with my shoulder being injured. So he was going to help me get that back and return and get me to the airport and everything. Well, he at the time had a job where he worked graveyard for like floral deliveries, and he basically got held up at work. So, and he couldn't make it in time. So he called and let me know pretty early. And I remember I actually went back to bed and didn't even like change the flight. I was like, I'll wake up and do it, you know? So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, can we backtrack a bit? So what caused you to get injured?
I was mugged, basically. I was really sick.
Wow.
I needed some cold medicine. And so I went out late at night and yeah.
Wow. God. So the initial feelings, because most people, if you're missing a flight, there's frustration, there's anger. What were those initial feelings when you missed that flight?
Do you mean just in general or when I knew it was the flight that went down?
Before you knew.
I didn't care because I was really tired, and honestly, I was in no rush to get back. I knew I was actually flying on frequent flyer miles under my dad's account, actually. And they were really liberal at that time at changing. It wasn't like there wasn't any fees. So it didn't bother me that I needed to catch a later flight.
The moment you found out what happened to that flight, where were you? What were those emotions?
So obviously I knew about the Twin Towers, which the place I was staying, the hotel I was staying. And at that point I was over in Jersey City, so kind of across from the Twin Towers where they are, so to speak. So we could all kind of see the smoke and what was going on.
It was awkward or odd because I was making phone calls and they had no communications among themselves really. So people were calling me up to ask me if I spoke to so-and-so, and we were all looking for our friends. And then that's when we heard, that Richie went in and never came out.
And everyone was talking about it, and I had gone back up to the room to figure out what was going to be happening. I knew, obviously, flights were going to be grounded and whatnot. But when I found out that flight went down, I was sitting on the edge of the bed in my hotel room watching the news, and all of a sudden I saw it pop on the screen that, it's confirmed this is Flight 93, that it's gone down over Pennsylvania, and I just froze.
President Bush addressed a nation.
Absolutely froze and just
in shock.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
It was just unbelievable, really. I mean, it was trying to figure out if it was on the wrong channel or something. Or right after the second tower came down, we packed up and we was at my house in the morning and saw the news, just dumbfounded. It was, everybody doesn't think about what could happen in the backyard.
And then about a minute later, it hit me that I didn't tell my parents that I had switched flights. So I immediately went into, panic mode, trying to reach them and let them know.
I've always supported and stood behind and, prayed for my friends who were still occurring injuries and suffering as a result of it, as well as their children, that have been damaged by this. I stood on all my gear on Wilshire Boulevard and right across from UCLA, actually. And I was holding a sign to never forget. And I walked through campus with my gear and with my sign, and people actually asking me, with all my gear on, and never forget what? I'm like, really? You guys are in college and don't grasp the concept of what happened?
I don't know, it seems like even when I was in high school, I've always wanted to write about that situation, but never had the words. And it just came to me one day, and I was like, I know when people hear things, sometimes it feels like you could relive it. A lot of times I want to be sensitive about, okay, how do I word things? I don't want to be the reoccurring infliction, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I think my goal for it is always closure.
Listen, the Big Apple, corporate lane, coffee run, please come again. Wish we saw the future like Muhammad, peace be upon him. 4 planes, 19 men, 4 teams like March Madness. Only it's September, a Tuesday. Do you stay or do you jump, man? Michael slumped in. Beat at security checks. Flight 11 with Muhammad, the ringleader. I'd have seen it coming. Now boarding flight 175. We are now boarding flight 77. Now boarding flight 93. These 4 flights take you straight to heaven.
Boston, he was going to LA.
Boston, straight to LAX. Cockpit made a pit stop, but they ain't stop out here to play the Knicks. Washington, straight to LAX. Jersey, straight to Cisco. Bad things come in threes, but how bad is it when it hits 4? What's up with the radio? They done hijacked all the signals. Showed up uninvited from Leiden like bruh man from the 5th floor. Night falls when the sun dims. Can your lungs dance with the big smoke? Can you see JC even when the AC is blowing out thick coast? Screams heard from the North Tower. South Tower took a big blow. Shook from the lobby all the way up to the 110th floor. Do you jump down? Do you hit floor? Do you burn till your skin's gone? Do you write down, babe, I love you with a paper and a pencil? Sign with your initials, then watch it float from the window. Hoping that it makes it home and it's bright on your pillow. Or do you start screaming at the top of your lungs, saying, I would've known then, I would've gone back to sleeping in North alone. but I didn't know. I could've known.
There's some powerful words right there. And it's, you know, it really hit me hard. Like, I've been back to New York several times, and I still won't go to Ground Zero. Mm-hmm. That's not how I remember New York, so I want to leave it like that. For me to say it's easy, only because of my faith. You could know God, but do you really know God?
Mm-hmm. But it was world hate at the world trade, gunshots at the parties, massacres at the theaters, and body bags packed like sardines. Remember, though the earth may give way, though the mountains fall into the heart of seas, God is always in the heart of things, and God is so close to the heart that beats. My heart is bleeding, but that ain't a reason to not believe. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should breathe.
How does Survivor's Guild pan out? Is it like immediate? Is it over time? Is it?
There's a plan. Why did someone leave early? Why did someone miss their train? Why did they miss their flight?
I thought about for a long time after this happened was, you know, if had I made that flight, and would I have been able to even reach my kid?
You can't blame yourself. You can't blame God. You can't blame a country. It's a group of people.
I wish I would've said no.
I wish that I said
I wish I would've said no.
Hey, don't you leave.
I wish I would've said no way.
No way now.
I wish I would've said no, sorry.
Oh, sorry, bye. Yeah.
Don't leave.
Won't you stay right here?
I wish I would've said no, sorry.
Though your heart is bleeding, but that ain't no reason to not believe. No need to blame yourself. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should breathe. Said that's no way to breathe. Your heart is bleeding, but that ain't no reason to not believe. So don't think that God isn't on the scene. Though you think in your mind that it's all somehow your fault. Your heart is bleeding, and though you're bleeding, don't stop believing. I know you don't need to blame yourself anymore. How could you have known what was outside that door? Oh, your heart is bleeding, but you believe in the love, and all you're wanting is peace in the morning. To not believe. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should breathe. My heart is bleeding, but that ain't no reason to not believe. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should breathe.
I mean, God says forgive.
Yeah.
To what extent? Well, you gotta forgive yourself first for, you know, it's a weight that you don't need to carry. It's hard to forgive. I mean, that's understandable. You want justice, but you also gotta forgive. Jesus forgave the guys who murdered him. You know, so who am I to say anything other? Jesus died for man's salvation, so, you know, let him carry the burden. He's got big shoulders.
I had two fears when I was a child, not clowns or creeps, not the boogeyman, monsters under beds, not ghosts in sheets, not the dark, not the spider underneath the toilet seat, not the doctor, not the needle, not the dentist drilling teeth. I had two fears, fears that grown adults we usually keep. I had two fears, fears a child shouldn't even think. One of two fears, accidents in cars, the tires screech. Two of two fears, going broke and starving on the streets. But through the years, I grew a new fear. This fear was peak. It grew long hair, it grew tall too, even had teeth, it could see, even had two ears. It heard me speak, it wore my face as a mask, a reflection. This fear was me, the fear of where I'm meant to be.
I almost don't want to say guilt, but just kind of this heavy feeling of well, what made me so different to miss this flight? You know, definitely hearing, you know, people say God must have another plan for you. I would say it strengthened it, you know, for a bit. I wasn't mad at God or anything, but just more like confused. Why would I be saved?
I wish I would have said no. I wish I would have said no. Wish I would have said no. I wish I would have said no. I wish I would have said no. Don't go. I wish I would have said no. Don't leave. Wish I would have said no. Amen. I wish I would have said no. Sorry. Wish I would have said no. Don't go. Wish I would have said no. Don't leave. Wish I would have said no. Amen. Wish I would have said no. Sorry. Yeah. Though your heart is bleeding. Your heart is bleeding. But that ain't the reason to not believe. Don't mean to blame yourself. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should be. There's no way to breathe. Your heart is bleeding, but that ain't the reason to not believe. It don't mean that God isn't on the scene. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way. Though you think in your mind that it's all somehow your fault. Your heart is bleeding, but that ain't the reason to not believe. Don't stop believing. I know you blame yourself. I know, but you need to blame yourself anymore. How can you have known what's outside that door? But that ain't the reason to not believe. Though your morning's pleasing. I know you blame yourself, but that ain't the way you should grieve. Beautiful. I wish. Yes, sir. Wish I said no. Wish I. Yeah. If I pass you, don't worry. Wish I.
But you know, we had a good time. Our heart was bleeding, but you know. It's not the reason you shouldn't believe. Right.
Said no. Said no. I said no. I wish that I said no.
It's been 23 years, 4 months, and 18 days since you've missed your 8 a.m. flight. And now we're doing your 8 a.m. interview. This leads me to my first set of questions. Do you ever feel like certain moments in life are orchestrated? Why did you miss that flight? And if not to be on that plane, what did the years that followed reveal to you about where you were meant to be?